What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's your boy, Kinda Random, aka Justin, and season 4 comes out in 6 hours. So I'm gonna try to upload this video. It's like 4 in the morning right now. Okay, so but I'm gonna try to upload this shit, probably ASAP, and yeah, I was set on Necromancer, but now I'm like, well, first of all, welcome back to another reaction video. You're gonna be seeing a lot of these. I'm starting to get back into that genre, but there will be a playlist, all my reaction content and content like this while I'm talking, just chopping it up. You know what I mean? But I'm interested about Druid. Druid was a class that I was gonna go with, but I'm new to this whole genre, so I went with Sorcerer. So let's just kind of see what we're doing here. This is guy. His name is Rage Gaming Videos. We're going to check out his Diablo 4 new best Druid leveling build. Season 4 fast 1 to 70 skills tempering gear guide. Let's get it. All right, let's see what's going on here.
Gentlemen and shape-shifting nature shamans of all ages, the start of Season 4 is right around the corner, and as per usual, one of the main things to consider before booting up the game when the season launches is what you are going to play. Not just your class, but what build you want to actually use. Not necessarily long-term, but importantly, the one that you choose to start with, your leveling build. Damn. The thing is, in Season 4,
that bear's chopping it up. That bear doing some damage
than ever for a couple of very main reasons. One is that the developers said in their recent stream that the season journey itself will now give you a full setup build archetype pretty much for each class along the way in its rewards, as opposed to just sort of piecemeal, non-synergistic ones like we used to get before. Along with that, the main way that most people will be leveling up this season, if you want to do it quickly, will be in Helltide, which is quite fun, both because it incentivizes movement speed, arguably, more than
that's what I heard.
Methods did.
I've never done Helltide before, but I'm not against it.
Denser packs of enemies than leveling.
I mean, it looks pretty fun. It looks pretty fast-paced and
intense. All this comes into consideration when working out the best leveling build, and of course, well, let's just say it almost like things are returning back to the way they were in Season 1, but not in a bad way, because it's right on back to a pulverized Druid leveling setup. Okay. The main reason for this being the same as it was in Season 1, which is the season journey reward promises of focusing on it. I should mention as well, this footage here is on live servers, but just meant to be representative of the way the build will play in Season 4 itself. It's not a perfect example.
Well, no, that's the thing, like, I can't find nothing perfect, but it's like a good idea.
It will be accessible far earlier in the game than it used to be. It relies on a couple of legendary aspects that aren't added to the codex.
So the bear has his own hotbar.
You to get at least one lucky RNG drop before it would work.
And that's so different on PC, bro, because I play on console. Oh, so his shift bar, his mouse, his 1, 2, and 3, and 4. Oh, so he's using like these in his mouse.
In order of how you want to spend them. Then we will talk about your spirit boost and how you should spend
real
those
different
as
than
well.
console.
After which we'll go over your general gear preferences and your 3 legendary aspects to keep on permanently while you are leveling. And then we'll talk a bit about.
It seems like Druid, like you're not really in your human form very much at all. It's like it's all about just getting right back to your shapeshifting form.
Here we go. Wind Shear, actually, this time, because they have finally buffed it enough that it's more than worth having than Stormstrike was for leveling, even in a bear build. The main reason is it now gives more spirit than Stormstrike does. It does the same damage on single target, but more on multi-target when it pierces enemies. It still has vulnerable application chance when you take the enhanced Wind Shear as well, and even on top of that, it gives you movement speed when you hit things. And again, movement speed is even more important this season while leveling than it has been in the past because of Helltide.
That could be a good place to start in the basic.
Core skills, we're going to be taking Pulverize, of course, as our main skill for the build,
as
well as Enhanced Pulverize, which just gives you an overpower every 12 seconds while you're healthy, which is staying above 80% health. Then we, of course, are going to be taking Primal Pulverize here. It's just
actually go back on that, because Overpower is a skill. Overpowering deals bonus damage based on the sum of your current life and fortified life. So I guess if your life is high or something, or the sum of it, I'm sure I understand that completely. Healthy character have more than 80% of their life. Oh, okay. So of course I'm taking it with a grain of salt.
Then we of course are going to be
I'm not
taking
going to follow a
Primal
build
Pulverize
pencil
here. It's just the
paper,
better option,
but it is nice
and
to see
reduces
like
incoming damage of the
what
enemies
is
that you
better
hit
this
with
season.
Pulverize. And again, we are leveling with Helltide, where things will be hitting harder than they otherwise would. So then we're going to be picking up Cyclone Armor in our defensive node cluster. This passively reduces any non-physical damage by 10%, which essentially just acts as bonus all resistance early on, which is quite strong defensively.
Okay.
And the active
So
part of
defensive,
this is
I don't
a
know anything
knockback
about Druid
ability that you
defensive,
can
so
use
Cyclone
if
Armor
you
could
need
be
to
good,
create
huh?
space from melee enemies as well.
Okay.
We then take Enhanced Cyclone Armor, of course, for a slow
Right.
effect on the knockback, and then Preserving Cyclone Armor to increase the passive damage reduction effect for 2 out of every 10 seconds, which also applies to all damage, and then bumps up the effectiveness of the effect to 30%.
Right.
The beauty of this is that it is passive, which means not only do you not have to think about this skill at all, but also it will still be active during Grizzly Rage, because even though you can't use the passive part of it, the aura will still persist. After that, we ran back for a couple more ranks of Pulverize over here, just to boost up our damage on our strongest ability just a bit, which will unlock the companion node cluster. Then here we're going to be grabbing Poison Creeper, as well as Enhanced Poison Creeper, and then also Ferocious Poison Creeper, which increases the duration of the poison effect, and is particularly important because of Envenom, which we're going to be grabbing later, but just acts as a proper strong crit damage multiplier. After that, we ran back, and of course we're going to be putting our final points into Pulverize up here, rounding that off and fixing it up to actually cap it at 5, which also
this is just going off of the
so
bear.
we can pick up Trample here for a
What's the other
effect
ones?
that grants Unstoppable. Enhanced Trample as well increases the damage that it does, and then we also want to take Savage Trample, which generates 40 Spirit on cast, which helps with our spirit generation issues once we have that picked up and working in. Then we're going to be grabbing some passives here, 1 rank of Mending for some bonus healing effectiveness in bear form, mostly though just as a gateway to let us get 3 ranks of Providence.
Yeah, hold on. You want to go back on that one? Mending. While in werebear form, you receive 6% additional healing from all sources. That's good. Is that only in the bear form though? I wonder if they have that for other forms, right?
Rank of Mending for some bonus healing effectiveness in bear form, mostly though just as a gateway to let us get 3 ranks of Provocation. This won't trigger frequently enough to matter most of the time, but what it does do is line up perfectly with the last couple of seconds of Grizzly Rage once you have your Rampaging Werebeast aspect, so that you are guaranteed an overpower at the highest crit bonus that you can reach. So if it also crits, it will get nasty, which is just fantastic for bosses really. Speaking of which, we then take Grizzly Rage over here, of course, as well as its enhancements too. What this does is give you a really nice damage boost and damage reduction skill for its duration, which also scales upwards the longer you're in the form, up to a maximum, of course. It also gives you a lot of fortified generation while you're doing it too, and of course grants Unstoppable for the first 6 seconds, which is also very good to have. Basically, you want to use this on any boss or elite pack, or just anytime there's a significant break between those, and lots of regular enemies to kill as well. From here, we're going to be rounding.
I guess
all the way
it
back
depends
over
on what
here
you
to
chose
take 3
as your
ranks of Ancestral Fortitude.
shape-shifting
This is
thing. So I'm
15%
guessing
bonus all element resistance, which is
you
just
choose a
lovely.
shape-shifting
And we'll also take
animal,
1 rank of Vigilance,
and then you're
going
gonna
to
base your abilities around that. Like your defensive seem to be
all 3 ranks of Predatory
pretty
Instinct
solid
over
either
here
way.
for 6% bonus crit chance against close enemies, which is lovely. But this
but it
also
seems
brings
like
us to our key passives being unlocked, and so we have
the
course
ultimate
going to be
really
picking up
depends on
Ursine
the type
Strength,
of
the
animal you
bear
chose,
bonus
right?
for a boost to our maximum
If
health
I could
and our
guess.
damage and our overpower damage while we are over 80% health, which is lovely as well. With that done, we're going to be grabbing the remaining 4 ranks of Poison Creeper to boost us all the way up just nicely and get more poison damage in our build by a decent amount. Then we just have a nice
poison
little
is actually
passive to
good,
fill out
huh?
for the rest of our point. At this point, you should have the Ursine Horror aspect from the season journey, which makes Pulverize count as an Earth skill. So what we're going to be doing next is grabbing 3 ranks of Crushing Earth for bonus Earth skill damage to slowed, stunned, immobilized, or knocked back enemies. 3 ranks of Safeguard, which gives you Fortify every time that you get a critical hit with an Earth skill, and then 3 ranks of Stone Guard, which gives you bonus damage with Earth skills when you have Fortify for over 50% of your maximum life.
I'm gonna really have to fuck
together
around
as a
with this
sort of
class.
really
If
nice
I,
synergy.
if I
At
play
that
this
point,
class,
you
I'm gonna
should
really have to
also have
fuck
enough
around with
resource
it
generation for our
and
next
try
power
like
boost,
I have to
which is going to be 1 rank
respec a
of
lot
Herd
and
of
try
Wilds
different
up here,
try different
mostly
animals
just
and
as a
shit.
gateway for 3 ranks of Wild Impulses.
But there
which
does
increases
seem
the
to be
cost
some
of
skills
resources for your core skills, but increases
that
the
are
damage
just
of them by
good
a larger
overall.
amount, making it more valuable to
Like-
actually have this than not, of course. Then finally,
The basics
for our
seems
actual
good for that
damage
movement
upgrades,
speed.
at least you want 1 point in Neurotoxin, which makes poisoned enemies be slowed. This also triggers Crushing Earth, which is very nice. But on top of that,
That's
what
not
it
bad,
does is
yeah.
act as a gateway for 3 ranks of Envenom. This makes your
Envenom.
companions and yourself, of course, deal 30% bonus critical
Oh,
strike
so
damage
it's
to
a team
poisoned
buff for
enemies.
poison
That is a
damage.
multiplier.
No,
and
it's a
that
team
is why
buff
it is
for
so
bonus
important.
critical strike
Then
damage,
with that
sorry.
left, you have 3
That's
points
cool.
left, and here I actually really personally like to spend these on Iron Fur, for just a nice bit more damage reduction while in werebear form, because we're going to be in bear form pretty much all the time.
So this is a werebear build.
Places, but that's where I like them myself. That does it for skill points then, so let's talk about our spirit boons. First things first, you want to start by unlocking the full eagle path. Then you want to get the first unlock of the wolf path. Then you want to unlock the full stag path.
Is this new? Because I don't remember this at all.
Pack, then do the snake boons last.
Oh, because they changed all this shit,
which
right?
boon you want in each path.
Oh boy.
Wariness up here is just a good chunk of damage reduction from elites, which is really nice. Then we bond with the eagle path to let us have 2 boons here, which are scythe talents for 5% bonus crit chance, and then also avian wrath for another nice hefty bonus critical damage multiplier that stacks with our other multipliers as well for further damage boosts.
So this guy's really good at talking, because he's talking a lot,
to reset the
and it's just flowing.
Whenever you crit,
but I'm having a hard time keeping up with the fuck he's saying. And not because of him, it's because, oh my god, there's a lot of information.
Which makes your next attack overpower after every 20 kills. Normally this isn't fantastic, but it's not bad at all for Helltide Farm specifically, which again will be your best friend for leveling in Season 4. With that covered then, let's move on and talk about our 3 main legendaries. This is the specific number for leveling because you can keep amulets and rings equipped for long periods of time without upgrading and without losing much, so we apply legendaries to these
It does
slots
seem kind of fun to be a fucking creature
low,
and just smash everyone.
On your amulet, you want the shockwave aspect as soon as you have it, which makes your pulverize fire out in the line in front of you, dealing even more than its base damage, and also letting it double up when used to the right range for pretty massive damage increase, on top of it also just making you have some range damage. Then we take the Ursine Horror aspect. This is what makes your pulverize count as an earth skill, and also worth it with our earth passives, and it also gives it some damage reduction. Some damage that just leaves on the ground under the impact radius. Then we also have the Rampaging Werebeast aspect as our third, which both increases the duration of Grizzly Rage,
got that sister down because they changed it already,
and giving you a stacking
buff. Because it's hard to know
increasing your critical damage
what's going to be viable here
every time that you get a crit during this, up to a set.
This guy's a fucking beast, bro. All this is maxed out.
The more damage
oh my god! Except that one amulet.
The higher your crit chance, the more of your duration of that skill you can be at the maximum bonus, which is really important too. As for general gearing things, you generally do want to use a 2-handed axe as your weapon for the bonus damage to healthy enemies, as the goal is to one-shot things that pulverize anyways, which that helps quite a bit with.
What's Barbarian use? Is a hammer, right?
Usable if they are more than 10% higher on the DPS stat.
Okay.
The damage per second stat is by far
these
the most important.
Too? See, I don't know nothing about Druid,
especially, though I would avoid one-handed setups with this build generally personally. As far as evolving build to be stronger with more aspects and such things like that, the retaliation aspect is absolutely insanely strong, especially with our fortified generation and the fact that most of our damage comes from our core skills.
Right.
It's just a big damage multiplier.
Right.
The crashdown aspect as well is also great. This is just increased crit damage with their skills against crowd-controlled enemies, and defensively your best friends will be things like Juggernaut for the massive chunk of armor, but also a really big maneuver is if you can get the Mending Stone aspect. This lets you change from Cyclone Armor as a defensive skill over to Earthen Bulwark, and then it will let you have a 9-second duration unstoppable window, which is super strong defensively speaking. I much prefer Cyclone Armor for the most part until you have this aspect, which makes Earthen Bulwark
Unstoppable is really good. That I do know, because that saved my life when I was sorcerer.
Tempering, and the most important part of it is the weapon tempering affixes, as they are particularly intrinsic to different builds. That said, there are 4 of particular relevance to Pulverize. On the Werebear manual, there is Pulverize Size, which is quite a fun option, but not necessarily the strongest one, but then also Grizzly Rage Duration. Keep in mind these numbers will be doubled when put on a 2-handed weapon as well for even more potency, but out of those 2, Grizzly Rage Duration will almost always be better, mostly because it applies to bosses as well as trash.
I wonder
and this
if he's going to do the other one,
trash.
like
There's
the
also
werewolf
the Poison
one.
Creeper damage affix in the Companion Finesse manual, which is just an absolute.
I mean, the bear looks good
of
though.
Stat from that bump. This can actually be really, really strong with this build once you have most of the general setup. If you have high enough crit chance to get consistent resets on Poison Creeper, that is what makes it extremely strong, even in a pulverized focused build that isn't made for poison. Then the last one of particular note is Earth Skill crit chance on the Earth manual, which again is doubled on a 2-handed weapon, and of course this only applies after we make pulverize count as an Earth skill, but crit is a massive part of this build, so if you have
it couldn't hurt to try.
Otherwise, this is actually the best of the bunch. To simplify that down then, if you have any of those options, put it on your weapon. It's better than having none of them.
Right.
If your crit chance is anywhere under, I'd say 20%, and you do have the Ursine Horror aspect on, you want to go with Earth crit chance.
I mean,
if your crit chance
you
is
have to admit,
40%
this whole whole
You
time
want to go with poison
I've been trying
creeper
to
damage.
soak in
If
all
your
his
crit chance is
information,
anywhere in the
but
middle of 20
he's
to
on world tier
40%,
4, I
you sort of want
believe.
to go with Grizzly
And
Range
this bear
Duration
is
for the best
smashing
general
the shit out of
results.
everything,
And that just does it
bro.
this time around, everyone. Just the best leveling
Oh, he's
build
a
for
right
Druid
there.
in Season 4, especially with the aspects just being handed to us in the season journey this time, which should be quite fun, honestly, and very smooth. Especially just Druids have always had a bit of a short end of the leveling stick, but being given a near full build as we go will just make it a much nicer experience all around, at least hopefully.
So
I wish you all
Druid
luck
has
in your
been
leveling
slow
journey,
to
and of course
level?
let me know your own thoughts down
Oh,
below.
no.
Like if you liked the video, subscribe to the notification bell for more, and most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, stay sweet.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment.
This outro
on a daily
song,
arrangement.
what?
Take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage.
All right. So, yeah. Let's see. That was a lot, dude. That was a lot. Oh boy. So after watching that, and keep in mind, I haven't watched too much of a Necromancer video, but I already know what it's gonna be like. I heard Necromancer is super good. It's like a summoner now. I did watch a little bit on that. I might give Druid a try. Even though, I mean, I don't know if it's still slow on the leveling spear, as he said, but fuck it. I mean, my only thing and concern is that, you know, hopefully I can find a build that's just not gonna be the werewolf. Hopefully you can still be viable without just using the werebear, because I don't even know what other shapes there even are. I'm new to the ARPG and to Diablo, so I'm like, but it does seem to have a pretty good pass. The good thing is like the defensive skills seem to be pretty versatile, so that's good. I guess poison is good because maybe it hurts the whole mob. Overpower, I do understand that after I read that, but you know, I want to try Druid in the past when I first played the game by myself when I cleared the game on World Tier 2. However, I never did because, you know, I didn't think like shapeshifting was a cool fun thing, but now that I see it in action, I think I need to give it a shot and just, you know, suck it up and say, hey, this could be fun, and if it's not, it's not. So I think I'm gonna do Druid on season 4. Okay, and thank you so much for the video. It was very informative. I'm not gonna lie, a lot of shit blew right over my head, but I saw what I need to see, and I heard what I need to hear, and that's all that matters. So without further ado, it's been your boy Justin, aka Kinda Random, and yeah, I'll see you in Diablo 4 Season 4.
教えてよ教えてよその仕組みを僕の